So, you know, but they appreciated that. However, they really were able to respond to our music, certain types of our music here. And I think of it, I think because it had so much emotion. And, you know, I had those 91 days with them on board their ship. And they had guests, and I'll never forget this. They had guests. They had rescued this group of people, and they were taking them somewhere, but they were stopped just outside our solar system for whatever else was going on, which I don't know. Anyway, M took the opportunity to come and see me. So I'm with them, and I had a very old iPod that had music on it. And so I gave it to them, you know, thinking it's not going to work because it's got a battery. I don't know how you're going to get the music off of it. You know, they already had it before I even gave it to them. But they appreciated the gesture, and I guess it went into some kind of a museum that they have, you know, Earthling Museum. Anyway, there was some music on it, and this group that they had never been exposed to anything Earth before. And there were a couple of songs on there from Foreplay, who was a jazz group.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And Highway, I think it's Highway 101. And they were like, apparently they were mesmerized. And there was, they really enjoyed it. In other words, it created an emotional reaction inside of them. And what's interesting is that with telepathic races, everyone kind of gets it at the same time. So when there's an explosion or an explosion of emotion, it vibrates throughout the soul group. And that's what happened. There was another instance that I wasn't there, but he told me about it, where I had given them music over and over and over again. And there was one particular song called "The Journey" by Brian Culberson. And at 3 minutes and 11 seconds into the song, there is this huge crescendo that he does with the piano. And the music and everything builds, and he does this crescendo. Well, this created an emotional response with a group that was on board, and the entire starship felt the explosion of positive of joy, because they had never heard a resonance build like that and then crescendo. And they just exploded with emotion and awe. And apparently, even the Andromedans on the ship felt this explosion of energy. And Mornay said after that, a lot of the youth, now I don't exactly know what that means, because, you know, they have their children, you know, their children could be 300, 400, 500 years old. They look like they're 15. You know, so I don't know exactly what that meant to you, but they were very interested in listening to the archives of music that they had been collecting from Earth, which would go from contemporary jazz, smooth jazz, classical music, and other types of indigenous music where there's a lot of drumming and the such. They're fascinated with the Aborigines type of music as well. They think that that's really, really interesting. And they say it's very, very ancient. It reminds them of other cultures that are very, very ancient in our galaxy that no longer exist, but the music is very, very similar to those old indigenous tribes of our early galaxy. So, you know, it's interesting to me that, you know, music is a bridge. Sound, tone, harmonics is a bridge that we can communicate with, and it's always been a good place where, you know, sometimes I would be having a really hard time in my life,